So, I don't necessarily want to make this video, but I got it. I made two. I made two 1 hour videos yesterday because I was trying to complete Prophecy Protocol 04 and Prophecy Protocol 05. It didn't work, so I erased them. Had I had the patience to wait till this morning and made Prophecy Protocol 06, it would have worked. But instead I erased them. So be it. Time goes on. Anyway, the Word, the Logos, the Mythos, the Word. Man, alright. The Bible has to be dealt with. It has to be dealt with. Not an exclusion of science, but who really knows like the corpus of science? In semi-esoteric circles, Leibniz was the last dude to know everything, even though it seems like it was Euler. On one hand, and on the other hand, Newton, because of his esotericism, probably weren't none of them. Because that all traces back to Cavalieri and the difference between the Jesuits and the Jesuits. Anyway. So that was a little bit like off the point, right? Didn't make any sense. So I'm going to try to say it straight in a way that anybody can make sense of, even me. We have to deal with the Bible. We have to. It's unavoidable. I'm not saying it's the only thing we have to deal with, but it's one of the things we have to deal with. And in my lifelong children's Bible interpretation, I've come to what I've come to. But that's not irrelevant. In some sense, the teleology of theology, the entelechy, the ontology, the teleology of theology, what all of it comes to, super important. Because it takes into account the pull of the omega. It takes into account the pull of the omega point as the future that we're falling to upside down. The Logos and the Mythos, the Word. Is the Bible literal, or is the Bible figurative? Is the Bible a history, or is the Bible a mythology? Is the Bible the Logos, or is the Bible the Mythos, right? But the funny thing about the between the literal and the figurative, or the literal and the metaphoric, or the literal and the simulacral. the funny thing about that is what we consider the literal is like the truth, or like a picture, a presentation, or a reflection. Some sort of like perfect similitude is what we consider literal, as in the word or the logos. But then if we go to the mythos, it's the story. It's the figurative. Yet in art, figurative art is the literal. In the picture. In the picture, figurative means a direct representation, more or less. Whereas in literature, wordture, the figurative is symbolic. In writing, we consider truth to be literal. What is, how it is, and how it was. But in literature, when we're being poetic or symbolic, we call it literary. Literary. Liter. A chur. So somewhere it's between the a chur and the rary. But either one has to do with the word. So, and here's a super interesting point that I've never heard, but it's like right at the crux of it, between the literary and the literary and the literal. Is the word. Is the Bible historical? Is the Bible literal? Is the Bible literary? And the New Testament opens up with, in the beginning was the Word. Word was God, Word was with God, blah, blah, blah. So at that crux of the Old and New Testament, at that crux of more or less 2,000 years ago, like the myth, the story, and the history come together in the Word. Like, if you're a believer, if you're a Christian, like you collapse upon the beginning as being the Word. The Word is the story. The Word is the myth. The Word is the logos. The Word is the pattern. The Word is the math. The Word is the history. The Word is the symbology. The Word is a story. The Word is a lie. The Word is the logos. The Word is the truth. The Word is a lie. Lie, literature. Lie, liturgy. Lie, literal. Lie, literary. You know, I ain't no priest. I ain't no this, I ain't no that. I've been touched You been touched? Of course you fucking have, man. Come on. So, if you're into the whole Jesus thing, or if you're like super against it, you're into it, man. Like, if you're super against it, you're into it. You know, there's all kinds of things I'm against, right? I'm not quite into them yet. I might get into them if I'm against them, you know. And I've referenced things, so you might know what I'm kind of against, but not like totally against, right? But when you're totally against something, you into it, you know. So, if you're totally against the whole JC deal, you into it, which means you're on the right path, because you're into being against the lie of lies, right? And thus we're talking about double negatives, where lying about the lie gives you the truth. But of course, only double negatives exist in a complex plane that involves rotation. So far as we're dealing with math, like, double negatives don't exist on a line unless they're a disk sideways. Right? And then maybe double negatives exist. But yeah, it's super interesting. It doesn't come up enough, and I'll have to remind myself more of it. I'm super sad that I erased. So I had 2 hours of content, and I talked about some things I hadn't talked about before. It was in a certain way a major failure. Had I gone a little further, I only needed about another like 7 minutes, and I would have fucking nailed it. But instead, I abandoned ship. You know, it was the wrong thing to do, but I had the right intentions, and well, I failed. I failed twice. I failed twice over. I failed in my initial conception of a premonition, and then I failed in confirming that premonition because I was impatient. And I'll get to that more. But what I did do is I succeeded in furthering the story for myself, if not for my audience. And I said things I'd never said before, which increases the chance that I will say them again. And I watched myself saying them. So I've increased the chance of reintroducing unspoken truths into my story as a mythos, as the word. The word is the logos, but what are stories made of? Words. The logos is the pattern of the word. The logos is the pattern of the word, the shape, the structure, the beauty we see. The mythos is the beauty we feel of the word. Kind of. There's a million ways to break down that supposed dichotomy, that supposed dialectic, or that supposed opposition. between the literal and the literary, between the logos and the mythos. Not that literal and literary are the only way that we can think about the logos and the mythos, but that is a way we can think about the logos and the mythos. And what's good about it is that both incorporate the word. And if in the beginning was the Word, what was the Word at the beginning? I wish I knew Greek, but I don't. I wish I knew Latin, but I don't. But I know that in Latin, the word at the beginning is sum.